If you felt a pop in your hamstring after doing sprinting or changing direction, this is a must-watch video. My name is Sebastian. I've had 4 different hamstring injuries, 3 on this side and 1 on this side. In fact, today as I'm recording this is a Tuesday, I actually had a pop in this one on Sunday. So I've learned a lot over the years about how to manage and to recover from these types of injuries, and I'm going to show you what we call our virtual surgery today. Now, keep in mind, this is the part 1 of a longer part series, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to get all of those parts. And if you're struggling at all and you want some help about figuring out what you should do in particular, you can always reach out to us. We have telehealth and in-person services. Our contact is below. Now, the first thing that you may notice when you end up having a pop is that it's followed immediately by disability. And this is very much different from having a strain or a tweak in the hamstring. I was on the ground clutching my leg and I couldn't even get off the field. I needed some help or I would limp. What we do notice, or what I've noticed over the course of having these other hamstring injuries as well, is that I can do things that are, we call it a protective type of compensation. And so right now, if I was to put most of my body weight in on my heel, I feel my hamstring right here, and it's not very good. But as long as I have my heel elevated, I can actually go up and down. Now, it doesn't feel perfect either. I definitely want to use the other leg a little bit to help myself over the next week or so. But what you're going to learn in this video is there's certain things you can do very early on and not really aggravate the condition as well if you abide by the mechanics that we learn that are protective. Before we get into those, let me just tell you a little bit about me so you can understand where my come from is. I started playing baseball at around the age of 8 or so in minor B. Playing baseball in high school, I had my first injury. It was a back injury, striding forward to first base. So as I extended forward like this, it popped in my lower back. And again, I was out for about 8 months. My next injury was around the age of 25. As I was running, I'm a center fielder. So I was running and I was trying to get a ball into the gap in left center. And I felt like someone shot me in my right hamstring. I immediately went down. I actually looked around to see, was there a ball or something that someone threw at me? That took about 3 months to recover from. Then about 5 years later, I had another hamstring injury. This was more of a strain. This one was from running through and contacting onto the base. It was this leg. And that also followed by about 3 months of not being able to play. I still play recreational baseball today, but the reason I want to do this video series here is because this year, this is 2025, last year I had 1 hamstring injury in August. I had another one just a few days ago. In this point, it is April 1st. So the frequency has increased, and obviously there's things that I could be doing, but also recovered very quickly from that second one as well. The very next week I was on the field doing some things. Now my third hamstring injury, again, it was, most things seem to be in the outfield or at second or at first base. And so I hit a double, or I thought was a double, and I contacted here and turned, and I felt a pop on this leg here. I was out that one for about a month and a half. The very next week, though, I was on the field doing a little bit of fielding work and throwing just to keep the rest of my body conditioned. And I feel like I've learned something through all of these different types of different hamstring injuries, and I think I'm getting better and better every time. Now, the one yesterday, what I had was I was in center field, a ball was hit to right field, and so I was sprinting, caught it, planted, threw across my body, which you probably shouldn't do. You should probably pivot and turn and throw. And I felt a pop at that point in time. Actually, the right fielder heard it as well. And so what I'm planning on doing is this rehab series, and I'm going to show you today as well as a few other things. And I'm going to get back onto the field probably next week and just do all of the things that I can do and probably not actually play. Now, the first exercise that I like people to do is called isometric loading. I'll do it on my left leg here, just so you can see. This is something that you don't want to go overboard on, but if it feels like someone's stabbing you in the thigh with an ice pick, this is maybe you've gone too hard. No pain, no gain doesn't really apply here. We're just strategically putting load very early into the leg. And so what we do is something called heel digs. And so I'm going to use this left leg. This other one's just up for show. And I'm going to drive it really slowly into the ground. You can do it in this position, or you can go into this position and just hang out and wait 30 seconds. We're doing 30 seconds on, 2 minutes off, 30 seconds on, 2 minutes off, 4 times, okay? Now, I can do it in this one here, so I would do this position because it's the most advanced of these ones here, okay? Just as a precursor note too, a lot of these hamstring injuries do have what we call rib flare associated to it, or poor core support. So I need to make sure that my back is flat against the ground as I'm doing it and don't let this area lift up as well. The next exercise that I really like is it's called a 3-month prone. The 3-month prone is like a version of a plank. And the great thing with this is when you have hamstring injuries, you tend to realize, again, the compensation strategies. I couldn't really walk super well. In fact, I couldn't walk upstairs, but I can crawl upstairs and I can actually do something like pulling. I can drag myself, which means that I can do something like a plank. So I'm going to go here, let the elbows splay outward, make a diamond with my hands, and just find my way up right here. Now, I can tell you that if I'm doing this well and I'm using my belly, my hamstrings aren't going to be super active, but there is a little bit of load going through them. But and I'm going to do this with my right leg because my left one hurts, but if you see your legs starting to come up here, that's a sign that your belly's failing, you're holding the reps too long, and that your hamstrings are starting to compensate. So it's going to be about 10 seconds on, 3 seconds off, 10 seconds on, 3 seconds off, until we hit what we call 80% of perceived effort. Okay, that means that you can almost not physically do anymore because it's so challenging in the ab wall. So this is our target tissue right here. Now, the other thing we can do to work around the area, because the first one was putting load to the tissue, but we can't do that the whole exercise series. We need to make sure the ab wall, which supports the hamstring, and the glutes are actually doing their job too. So one thing that we can do is something called a crooked plank. And so we're going to set up on just like here. And then we're going to actually move one knee to the middle and move the other one to the side. And don't worry, I'll show you at a different angle here in a moment. And then we're going to sit down towards that side, still keeping grippy with our hands here. If I was going towards you here, it's going to look like so. Remember, I move the knee, and I sit back into that side. And it's going to feel like a nice deep glute stretch. But you'll notice here, if we want to make it into an actual exercise, we would take this knee and we would drive it into the floor, like we're trying to push the floor away from our body. And now I feel that right butt cheek working pretty good on me. I would do both sides, same type of reps and set. So it's 10 seconds on, 3 off, 10 on, 3 off. You don't have to get in and out of the position. You just kind of stay there and load and deload, load and deload. And I would do a few sets of that as well. Now, because we know that the protective pattern for this is going to be with the heel elevated, we can use that to help early loading of the limb. What we don't want is, as this tissue's healing, the rest of the limb starts to go offline. So we need to get good contraction to here. Isometrics are a safe way to do so. So I can do something like if I was standing on a block, that's okay. Or I can just endorse it more by allowing heel to go off the ground. And I'm going to start shoving my foot through the floor just like so. Remember, I know that some of you probably had injuries already, and you may not be as fresh as mine because it's literally 2 days old. So I want to show you the things that we like. This doesn't hurt me to do at all. And it's not wrong to do, but it's also not challenging this tissue too much either, right? So it's a very knee dominant, quad dominant type of scenario. So I'm going to hold this until I actually can't anymore, until this quad really starts to burn. And you may even hold it for like 30 seconds to a minute and so on, and those are okay. And it would switch sides and do it again. I would go through the circuit a few times. 3 times is pretty fair. And this is just for mainly day 1. Day 2, I would probably do the same thing. And the only thing that maybe changes is your intensity may increase a little bit, because most people on day 1, they don't want to do a bunch of stuff, and that's rightfully so. Day 2 is more about tinkering and making sure that your intensities and your positions are good. Now, day 3, I wouldn't call it a full rest day, but we need to keep isometrics for that hamstring still in play. We're keeping load through the tissue as it starts to mend itself and starts to repair itself. It's going to be the same reps and sets, but the thing we can do differently is we can do something which is a little bit easier to grease up the hips, which is basically going for a walk. They don't have to be long walks, but we should get out and see if we can walk normally the best that you can, and make sure that you're not too far away from the house to have to force yourself to come back. It's not a good time to run and jog. That will come after a few weeks. Day 4 is basically the same as day 1. Day 1, though, we were figuring out the things that we should be doing and how hard we should be doing them. Day 4, now we've kind of learned that already. Now, the other things that you can add in are other what we call green light exercises. Green light exercises may be things like rowing, lat pulls, push-ups, incline press, flies, whatever you want to do. Okay, usually doing some type of lower body work can be helpful, but that's a little bit temperamental at this moment. But pushing, pulling, and any other green light activity is usually advised to do. One of the biggest mistakes that people tend to make is they rest too long in this recovery process and they miss a nice window where they can get ahead of the game. Now, the next few days are basically the same. I would do 2 days on of a good activity, followed by a day of rest, which is going to be your isometric loading plus walking, and then 2 days on, and then 1 day of rest or isometric activity. So I'd follow that basic program for a week, and then you kind of let the body do its job and start to repair itself. Now, subscribe to the channel for the remainder of this video series, where I'm going to try to make it probably a 4-part series for you guys. But at any point, if you have any trouble and you need some help from us, you can reach out. Our contact's in the description below, and we're maybe going to make a giveaway as well to help you guys get a better understanding of what should be done with these hamstring injuries to make sure you get back into the game just as I have.